Hey guys, it's Chris at Highline Guitars. You're watching another one of my YouTube guitar building videos. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope that by the end of this video, I'll have earned the honor and privilege of your subscription. So in today's video, I am going to install the bridges on my 6-string multi-scale fan fret guitar build. However, before I do that, I want to bring you in closer and explain to you what bridges I have chosen for this guitar and why I chose them. Now, I know some of you are probably wondering, why am I installing the bridges in this episode when after the last episode I said that in this episode I was going to be installing the pickups next? Well, I got to thinking about it, and it occurred to me that with this particular design, it would be better to install the bridges first and then install the pickups after. And the reason for that is because, well, first of all, I haven't fully decided on exactly how I'm going to install the pickups. I know it's going to be direct mounted, but there are a couple of different ways that I can direct mount the pickups. And it just makes sense to install the bridges first, because then I can determine how deep to install the pickups. And the thing is, these pickups are completely custom fabricated. I made the bobbins, the base plate, everything. And so I think it's a wise decision to install the bridges now so that I can get an idea of what the string height is going to be over the pickups. Then I can decide how deep to install the pickups into the body. Now, the nice thing about these pickups is that they have adjustable pole pieces. So I can get the pickup height in sort of in the neighborhood, maybe not exactly right, but if I use a method where the pickup is firmly mounted to the body where it can't be raised or lowered, I can adjust the pole pieces to get them right where I want them to be with respect to the distance between the top of the pole pieces and the bottom of the string. So that's why in this episode I'm installing the bridges now, and then hopefully in the next episode I'll be installing the pickups. When building a multi-scale fan fret guitar, you can't use just any guitar bridge off the shelf like you would with just a regular guitar. You might be tempted to grab a Fender style hardtail bridge, or your favorite Tune-o-matic, or even a Fender style tremolo or Floyd Rose tremolo. Those bridges will not work with a multi-scale design because each string is a different scale length. And that means a bridge like this isn't going to work because these bridges are designed to work with just one scale length. For example, you could use, you could use either bridge for like a Fender style 25.5 inch scale or 24 3/4 inch Gibson scale or a PRS 25 inch scale. These bridges will work perfectly for those scale lengths, but they will not work for a multi-scale guitar, because with a multi-scale, I have the bass side of the fretboard is a 28 inch scale, and then the treble side is a 27 inch or a 25 inch scale. As a result, each string is a slightly different scale length as we transition from that 25 inch up to the 28 inch. So the bridge has to be built to accommodate that change in scale lengths. Now you might think, well, why can't we just install the bridge at a sharp angle to accommodate those different scale lengths? Well, the problem with that is, first of all, it's very difficult to get the bridge at that right angle. Second, when you adjust intonation, instead of drawing the saddles straight back or straight forward, they're going back at an angle. And what's likely going to happen is, as you try to intonate the strings, you're not going to have enough travel that you can adjust the saddles to get the intonation that you're trying to achieve. So these bridges simply won't work. You have to buy a bridge that's going to work with the scale lengths that you're using. Now, I know that Hipshot, and perhaps there are other guitar or part manufacturers out there, make guitar bridges that can work with multi-scale configurations. And I know that Hipshot has bridges for 6, 7, and 8 string multi-scale designs. But to use one of those bridges, you have to make sure that when you design the guitar, you're using scales that those bridges are designed to work with. You can't just use those bridges on any multi-scale configuration. It has to be the configuration that the bridges were designed for. Now, an option that works even better is to use individual bridges for each string. And you can purchase separate bridges for each string. I know Hipshot makes them. And what I'm going to be using is this design here. And these are individual bridges which can be used, one for each string. And I originally came across these bridges when I was building a headless guitar a couple of years ago. And these were bridges that I purchased off AliExpress. And what I like about these is, even though most of the guitar components that you purchase off AliExpress are mass-produced in, countries like China or Vietnam, Korea, so on and so forth, these bridges are actually made in Japan, and they're of very high quality. They're stainless steel with brass, really well made. But because they're designed for a headless guitar configuration, they have a fine-tuning capability. So I can coarsely tune the strings at the headstock using the tuners. Then I can fine-tune the strings at the bridge. And that's kind of a nice feature to have. That way you can coarsely tune your guitar backstage. Then when you walk out on stage and perform a couple of songs, if your guitar goes a little out of tune, you can adjust it with the fine tuners right at the bridge. Just kind of a cool way of doing it. And to install these bridges, each bridge comes with a mount, which will be permanently attached to the body of the guitar. Then I have the bridge itself, which mounts to that mount, and it'll have one screw that goes in down through the center that you can tighten to firmly lock the bridge to the mount. But you can slide the bridge back and forth to get the proper intonation. And then the string passes through the body of the tuner, and then this thumb screw is tightened to lock it into place. So the string is fed through the back of the body, through the bridge, over the saddle, and the saddle can be raised and lowered. There are two adjustment screws that you can raise and lower this brass saddle, and then you can lock it with a screw at the front. So then once you've pulled the string through, you simply install it on the tuner like you normally would, coarse tune it, and then you can adjust the fine tuning with the back of the body of the tuner itself. So it's a really cool bridge, and I really like this design. However, I'm going to try to put a link to this specific bridge in the description below, because there are a lot of bridges just like this on AliExpress. However, I can't vouch for the quality of some of the other bridges. The one that I purchased, like I said, was made in Japan, and it's a much higher quality. So it's a bit more expensive, but you get what you pay for. So now I'm going to proceed with installing each of these bridges. When I sprayed the clear coat finish on this guitar body, the finish itself filled in the little bridge mounting holes that were drilled into the body when I was cutting the body on my CNC machine. So what I need to do is kind of open up those holes, and I don't really need to re-drill them. I just need to, I'm going to take this is a center punch that I sharpened to a very sharp tip, and I'm just going to place it in the center of the hole, and now I've punched that hole back. Okay, now I can install the bridges. However, one question that may come up is, how do I ground the strings? Because typically with one of these Fender style bridges, we drill a hole from where the bridge is going to be sitting down into the pickup pocket, and then we strip out the end of a wire and splay it out here so that when the bridge is mounted, it comes in contact with the wire, and then that wire runs into the control cavity where it is soldered to the back of one of the pots, which are grounded to the jack, and that grounds the strings. But with individual saddles, how do we ground all those bridges? Well, the method is pretty simple. I'm going to drill a hole at an angle down into this pickup pocket. Then I'm going to run a strip of copper tape right along the length of where the bridges will be mounted, and the wire will run from under the tape down into the pickup pocket and then down into the control cavity, so that when I mount the bridges, they'll come into contact with that tape. And the tape, since it's in contact with the ground wire, all the bridges will be grounded. All right, so the way these bridge saddles work is there's a base which is held, it's attached with 2 wood screws, and it sits on top of this piece of copper foil, which is in contact with the ground wire that's running through the pickup pocket down into the control cavity. And there it's going to be soldered to the back of one of the pots, which in turn is grounded to the jack. And then the saddle itself is attached with there's a small machine screw, and it inserts into that little hole there. So it will be screwed down into place like this. And you have about a 1/2 inch or 12 millimeters of fore and aft adjustability for intonation. So I will begin by installing each one of these saddles. There, all the bridges are now installed. Now, one of the disadvantages of this bridge design should be fairly apparent, and that is access to these fine tuners can be a bit of a challenge because obviously they're so close together, and that's going to make it difficult once the strings have been installed and tuned to pitch. It's going to be difficult to fine tune because of access to these. However, as you can see from the end, they are slotted, so you can use a screwdriver. Okay guys, I've got the bridges installed, and that means the next step is going to be to install the pickups. But as I said before, I haven't totally decided on how I'm going to do that. So that's all going to happen in the next episode. In the meantime though, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up. That'll tell YouTube that you enjoyed the video, and they'll be more likely to promote it to other folks who, just like you, enjoy building or playing guitars. And if you'd like to take your support to the next level, you can visit my eGuitar Plans web store, or my Highline Guitars merch store. And there you can purchase plans for building guitars, the tools that we use to build guitars, and you can pick up a cool looking t-shirt or a coffee mug or a hoodie. And just know that anything that you purchase is going to help support this channel so that I can keep making videos about building guitars and sharing that information and knowledge with you. And if you'd like to keep your support simple but would still like to chip in a few bucks, you can click the thanks button and leave a tip in the amount that you think is fair. And always remember, when you leave a comment in the comment section below each video, I'll do my best to try to answer your question. But if you include a question with your tip, then I absolutely will answer your question. So as always, until the next episode, take care, stay safe, and I hope you'll be back for more guitar building videos.